Welcome to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Kentucky attorney Jeff Roberts has over 25 years of experience. He'll provide answers to your questions related to personal injury and automobile accidents, workers' compensation claims, and Social Security disability benefits. Let's join Jeff for this episode. And we are back in Calloway County with injury attorney Jeff Roberts. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jim. How are you?
Buddy, I'm doing fine. You know, every time I drive down here, I look forward to two in particular episodes. In the spring, you do a motorcycle safe driving tips, and today we're going to do one on bad weather driving tips. We're here in mid-November, and the weather's going to get a little dicey here soon. Today's beautiful, but I think before long, we're going to get into some of these snow and icy days.
Yes, it's we actually had a little bit of a snow flurries, nothing that stuck whatsoever just a little bit ago, but it's getting time to have snow or rain and then freeze at nighttime and have ice on the roadways. So driving conditions can go from very good driving conditions to being in winter weather quickly at this time of the year.
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, you tend to need to build up your muscle memory, and in this case, maybe it's all mental muscle memory. But there are a lot of things that we need to talk about, really, with safe driving tips. And one of the things that I think is pretty smart to remember is you need to check out the mechanical condition of your car. We're talking about fluids and all sorts of other stuff. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. Exactly. There's things you need to check on your vehicle. Some people already know this, some don't know this, but when the weather gets colder, it can actually cause the pressure in your tires to go down and your tires be underinflated. So you need to make sure you do check the air pressure in your tires to make sure they are at proper inflation. From that standpoint, I've heard in the past or seen people say, well, you know, when you're driving on snow and all, you want to let some air out of your tires. It gives you more of a space. I don't believe in that philosophy personally. I think you're doing damage to the tires. You're more likely to have a tire failure from doing something like that, and you're not getting any more tread on the snow anyway.
And how much is enough, right?
Exactly,
yeah.
How much is enough, etc. I don't like that. You know, if you do drive a vehicle that is rear-wheel drive and not front-wheel drive, then putting some weight, like if you got a pickup truck that's rear-wheel drive, putting some weight in the back end of it to put a little more weight on those drive tires can be helpful. Or if you're in a passenger vehicle, SUV or something, putting something in the trunk or in the back end of the SUV to put a little weight on it. A lot of vehicles now, passenger vehicles and SUVs are front-wheel drive, and you don't have to worry about that with a front-wheel drive vehicle. The first time actually I drove on a front-wheel drive vehicle on snow, I was amazed at how much better it handled and did in snow than rear-wheel drive did from that perspective.
Well, in talking about the tires, make sure your treads are up to spec, because I mean, if you're driving on, you know, worn out treads in the summertime, maybe you can get away with it, and it gets a little dicey from time to time in rain. But when you get on snow and ice, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, exactly. You want to have good tread on the vehicle from that standpoint. If you're getting real close to it as far as time to change the tires, then you may want to go ahead and change those out before we get snow on the ground, because the better the tread, I think the better traction you're going to have. Ice, unfortunately, there ain't no traction on ice from that standpoint. Another thing is it's a good idea, especially if your vehicle is outside all the time, but even if it's in a garage, it's a real good idea to have the antifreeze check. This time of the year, it doesn't, you know, that's not a driving tip technique, but it can save you from having a really bad day if you don't have good antifreeze in there, and it can cause some major problems from that standpoint.
You know, one of the things that I think people overlook is also your windshield wiper blades. sometimes when they're hazy, they don't really clear the window. When you've got slush or sleet or just some drizzle out there, this is a good time to make sure you've got a clear windshield. So this is another thing to, hey, drive into AutoZone or Valvoline or someplace like that and see about changing out your wiper blades.
Yes, having the good blades that will help during the if snow's coming down, slush can wear out blades pretty quickly from that standpoint, and it can help to keep that windshield clean. And that was coming to the next one is the visibility aspect of it. If you're make sure you get your windshield, if it's got snow or ice on it, get it scraped off very good before you drive. It's amazing to me. I drive in the wintertime and I'll see somebody that's got about a foot wide area on their windshield that's clean, and that's the only area of their windshield that's clean, and it's extremely dangerous to do that, to drive like that.
All four sides of the car. Take the time.
Take the time, do the front windshield, do the back window, do the passenger and the driver's side windows as well. As you said, all four sides, make sure you can see traffic coming towards you. If you're coming up to a stop sign and you can't see out of your driver's side window or the passenger side window, that can affect, and cause wrecks, especially if you're at a stop and it's a two-way and the other traffic, you can't see the traffic coming towards you. You have no idea when to go, and you could easily be pulling out in front of somebody. And leaning forward and looking out the windshield hopefully will help, but it's a lot better to have complete full view back the direction that the vehicles or traffic's going to be coming from.
No, that makes a lot of sense. This would be a good time to take the weekend and go over to Walmart or go out to a gas station or even a hardware store and make sure you've got a really nice windshield scraper. I like the longer one so I can reach into the middle of the windshield and stuff like that. Put it in the back seat if you have to, but make sure you got it in the car. And if you've got some kiddos, make sure they're equipped as well. You don't want to see them out there with a credit card or something like that trying to scrape the ice.
Yes, and now they have the ones that are, and they have for a long time. It's not like it's a recent invention, but it's a scraper, but then it's got a pretty good brush on it as well, so you can brush off. And sometimes, like here at the office, I've been here at the office, and we get a nice fluffy snow while I'm here at the office, and I go out, and I don't really have to scrape it off. Just that brush will knock it all off and get the windows clean and do it much quicker, and frankly, without my hand getting it soaked in snow, as the doing the scraper side of it does from that standpoint. So those are all things you need to do before you ever get out onto the road.
Well, Jeff, before we jump into the segment about things to think about while you're actually driving, I did want to bring up that you're going to be on Facebook a little bit more frequently these days, especially during the inclement weather.
I am going to be on Facebook. I actually fairly recently started sponsoring a local gentleman here in Murray, the Murray Calloway County weather dude is he's referred to frequently. He's got a page on Facebook that is very, very informative on local weather, what's coming up and all of that. And I'm sponsoring a severe weather forecast now. Thankfully, since I've been sponsoring it, we've really not had any severe weather yet. But it's on there, and then we do have that severe weather forecast that he's going to be posting daily to let you know. Hopefully, it's going to continue to say no severe weather, but unfortunately, when winter comes, there are going to be times that, in the next 3 or 4 days, you can expect some severe weather and some hazardous driving conditions, and you need to take precautions if that's the case. So
that's fantastic. Congratulations on that. That'll give you some extra exposure as well. Jeff, let's transition into the safe driving tips here, and I guess before we even think about safe driving, if you have the opportunity, stay home.
Exactly. That is the safest safe driving tip for winter weather conditions. If there's snow and ice on the road, if you can stay home, stay home. You're much safer at home. I can tell you that the police officers and sheriff's deputies will tell you time and time again, if you can stay home, stay home. Whenever the roads get hazardous, the best place for you to be is not out on the roads. And they would much rather you be at home safe than them having to find a tow truck to pull you out of a ditch or call an ambulance for you because you've had a wreck severe enough to cause you an injury or anything of that nature. So if you can stay home, stay home. And, you know, and this is time, we're in Western Kentucky. Born and raised in Western Kentucky. One thing that we are known for here is the friendliness that we have. Murray has been named the friendliest small town in America. I think we earned that reputation and still earn that reputation. And, you know, there's certain people who have to be out. And so, and I've done this in the past. I've had others offer it to me in the past where, you know, if I had to be out and I had some neighbors I knew, I've had some elderly neighbors, and I've reached out and said, I've got to be out. I'm going to be in town. Is there anything that you need from town I can bring to you when I come back home? Type things. And I know a lot of other people in Western Kentucky, in the Murray area especially, who do that for their neighbors when they have to be out in this kind of weather to save others from having to get out. And so take advantage of it. If that allows you to stay home, if you got a neighbor who you know is going to have to, because of the nature of their job, they're going to have to, and just reach out to them and say, you know, you're not going to get milk and eggs in Murray after once the snow's on the ground, it's too late. It's milk, egg, and bread is all gone from the shelves by that point in time. But if you need something from the grocery, I almost guarantee you nearly anybody else in Calloway County that's got to be out is going to be happy to bring it back to you. If you live close to them from that standpoint. If you've got a neighbor that doesn't need to be getting out and you have to get out because of your job, call them up and ask them. Look out for your friends and look out for your neighbors.
It's just good people taking care of good people.
Exactly.
Jeff, you know, I think we all kind of forget that, you know, the snow and ice, while sometimes it can look pretty, but again, from a safe driving standpoint, you've got to start slowing down. And I think that first couple of snowfalls, we're still trying to get used to it, that muscle memory again. And it's going to take a little bit longer.
Exactly. You got to slow down, drive much slower on snow and ice. On snow, and on ice both, you got to slow way down from that standpoint. And you've got to make sure part of that as well is to increase your distance between other vehicles. The distance you can stop in on normal roadway versus the distance you can stop on snow is substantially greater on snow. It takes much longer to come to a complete stop there. So if something happens to the car in front of you, if you're the quote 2 or 3 second rule behind them, or you're going to hit them.
Yeah.
You're not going to get stopped that quickly if it's snow or ice on the road. So increase that distance significantly between you and the other car. Does that mean somebody may pull out from a side road in front of you? Possibly. And then if they do, maintain distance between them. Better to be take a little bit longer to get somewhere, but actually get there than it is to be in a wreck.
Well, and you know, this also applies at intersections. I know a lot of times as soon as it goes to green, you want to kind of gun it and get going, but other people may have difficulty stopping. So, I mean, even though you've got the right of way, it's a good time to just give it a couple of extra beats. Just kind of look around, make sure nobody's sliding through the intersection.
Exactly. That's 100% correct from that standpoint, and that's another to go back to making sure all your windows are clean so you can see that. If a car is not going to make a stop, I'm stopped at a stop sign or a stoplight. It turns green, but I see this car is coming up and they're not going to be able to stop. They're going to slide into the intersection. I know to let them slide on through.
Yeah.
And because I can see that, and that's the other side of that. Yes, you want to take a little time before you pull out from in those situations as well. When you are starting or stopping, you got to do that. It's not just driving slowly. You need to accelerate very slowly, because if you put your foot on the gas too much, you lose traction. Your tires are going to start spinning, and then you're going to essentially nearly come to a complete stop before they're going to get traction again from that standpoint. So you want to start off very slowly and gradually increase to stay slow, but gradually increase your speed so that you don't lose traction. In the same when you are having to come to a stop, if you know there's a stoplight coming up or a stop sign coming up, let off your gas and let the vehicle start slowing down on its own before you ever put any pressure on the brakes, and then just ease on the brakes and very slowly come to a stop when you have to come to a stop. If you hit your brakes hard, you're not going to stop. You're going to lose traction and start sliding.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you got anti-lock brakes or not. If the anti-lock brakes help, don't get me wrong, but even with anti-lock brakes, you can lose traction.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
If you hit it brakes hard, you're going to lose traction and you're going to start sliding at that point in time, and the results can be disastrous from that standpoint. So.
Well, when you're talking about ice, I mean, obviously, you may be handling the normal roadway pretty well, but when you get over a bridge or overcrossing, that becomes a different story. And the signs are out there, but a lot of times it becomes white noise. We see them every day, so we don't tend to pay attention to them or notice them. But that's going to be treacherous. You need to be careful when you're going over the bridges or overpasses.
Absolutely. And after doing this for 33 years, to be honest, that's where I see the most severe injuries are that type of situation you're talking about. We see the signs, bridges freeze before the roadway. Well, people are driving down a wet road. We've had a rain on the roadway. Its temperatures drop below freezing now. Well, the ground is warm enough, it keeps the road from freezing up, so you're driving on wet pavement, not ice. And a lot of times people are going highway speed. If you're driving down Highway 94, going 55 miles an hour. If you're on Highway 80, you may be going 65 miles an hour. If you're on the interstate, maybe going 70 miles an hour down the road because you're on wet pavement instead of slick pavement. But then you hit a bridge. And that bridge is already frozen. It was wet, but now it's frozen because it freezes much quicker than the roadway. And you're at 55 mile an hour, you hit that bridge that's iced up now, and the resulting wreck is going to be significant in that situation. That's where, we talked about, most people you do have a few idiots out there that try to drive 55 on snow. But most people slow way down on snow. So when they do have a wreck, it can be serious, but a lot of times it's not as serious because people aren't going as fast from that standpoint. But I see a lot more serious injuries where they hit a bridge and hit black ice and then cross over into the other lane to somebody coming the other direction, and they hit that person going 55 mile an hour, and the results can be very devastating.
Yeah, well, the deer don't usually pay attention to the deer crossing signs, but the bridge is icing over, pay attention to those signs. So that's if you drive enough, you're going to figure that out pretty quickly.
Yes.
Jeff, what else you have there as far as a safe driving tip for bad weather driving?
One, and this is, if you're going down there, well, some people use it even at other times. Don't use your cruise control on snow, ice, or if the temperature is below freezing, or there can be ice somewhere on the roadway. Don't use your cruise control because when you have a cruise control, it will sometimes accelerate quickly. From that standpoint, you don't have as much of a feel for the road with the cruise control, in my opinion, as you do with your foot on the gas pedal. And to get it off, you hit the brake, and if you hit the brake a little too hard, then you just lost traction. Better to just leave the cruise control turned off when you're driving in winter in hazardous weather conditions. From that standpoint.
It may keep you a little bit more alert as well. You tend to kind of zone out when you got cruise control going on. You're looking at the radio or, some other kind of distracted driving. But when you have to keep your foot on the accelerator, you tend to be a little bit more focused on what's going on.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of times people may not think as much about, but think about where you're going and plan your route a little better. There are certain places that I go that I know the shortcuts to and cut on back roads. I can cut these back roads and and get to a place a little quicker than taking the more traveled routes, and that's fine on nice roads and nice weather. But when you're driving in winter weather conditions, icy conditions, there are certain roads that get plowed much quicker in Calloway County than other roads get plowed. And so take that into consideration, and it may be a little longer trip, but you're on the road that's been plowed versus a road that's not been plowed from that standpoint. So, Highway 94, Highway 121, Highway 80, 641, all of those are the main routes and others, but those are some of the main routes, and they get plowed fairly quickly and fairly regularly from that standpoint. So they're probably going to be clearer. They get more traffic as well, which also helps to clear the roads up. And so, you might want to make sure and plan your route to where you're taking these more traveled roads that get plowed quicker than a side road or a small country road that has little sharper curves in them as well and things of that nature that aren't going to have that's going to have more snow and ice coverage on them than the more traveled roads are.
Well, and when the snow hits, I mean, the first responders are busy. I mean, there's usually a lot going on, and if you're on a back road somewhere, it may take them a while to get to you. So again, that's going to be not only an inconvenience, but if you're seriously injured, that could have tragic consequences. So again, staying with the more traveled roads where there's more traffic, if you get into a problem, people are going to notice, and a lot of times people stop and check on you or at least call 911 for you. Yeah. But on a back road by yourself, especially in the evening, it may be a while.
True, and that's the other thing is. Now with everybody pretty much has cell phones. So if you are even out in a different a more rural area, you probably have a signal. There's some places that don't have a good signal from that, but you can reach out to get help now, whereas before it was hard to do so, and you had a lot of people who would say, make sure you've got a blanket in the vehicle and all these things in case you do have a wreck. And I don't know that is as much needed for local travel, but if you're going to be going on an interstate when it's severe weather out there, you can have a situation where there's a bad wreck on 24 and it gets shut down, and you be stuck for a little bit of time before you can take off. I can't remember. I think it was in Virginia that had that a few years ago, a major interstate that was shut down for several hours. And so if you're going to be going on a trip where you're going to be on an interstate or something away from people and away from being able to get to help or get out of your vehicle and get to a safe area, here you walk half mile, you're going to find a house. But on the interstate, you may not have that option at times. So you might want to have some sort of an emergency preparedness kit where you have a blanket and some other stuff and water and a little bit of food maybe in the vehicle in case you do get stranded or stuck on the interstate while they have to clean up a bad wreck or something, and you're sitting there for a couple of hours. And the other side to that too is because of that, I would, if I'm going to be taking a trip like that, fill up your gas tank before you head out on that. And I wouldn't ever let it, if I'm going to be driving in winter weather conditions on an interstate for a long way, if I was going to Louisville and going down the West Kentucky Parkway, I don't know that I'd ever let my vehicle get below a quarter of a tank before I stopped and filled back up again, just because if I got stopped, I'd want to be able to have the gas or the car cranked up and have my heat going if I'm stuck there for 3 or 4 hours while they clean something off. Now, I'm extremely cold-natured, and other people may love it, but to me, I like to have I like to have a little heat every now and then when it's freezing weather outside.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Cold-natured and warm-hearted. How about that for you? No, but it's one of those things where, a little bit of forethought, a little bit of preparation. Throw some stuff in a gym bag in the back. I always say, put a toboggan back there, put extra pair of socks. You may be out trying to scrape or fix a chip change a tire or whatever. If your feet get wet, trust me, you're going to be absolutely miserable in that cold temperature. So, a few things like that, some granola bars, a bottle of water, stuff like that. You can put it in a big coffee cup or a big coffee can or something like that with a lid on it. All sorts of different ways you can prepare.
Yeah, I agree. The gloves, the toboggan, all of those things in there. I've watched enough Criminal Minds do not have zip ties and duct tape in there. Yeah, that could get you in trouble. But yes, have some warm clothes in there. Have food. Have water there. If you want a blanket or just heavy clothes, whatever, something that can keep you hydrated, keep you have some food on your stomach if you do have to sit while they clean up a roadway on an interstate for a period of time. Because if there's snow and ice, you're not going to be turning around in the median at that point for sure.
Oh, exactly. Because you don't know how deep it is really, and you're going to get hung up there as well.
Yeah.
Jeff, as we talk about the change of the seasons, the other issue that you're going to be looking at is animals in the roadway, especially deer right now. Between the pressure from the hunting and just the rut in general, you're going to see a lot more deer traffic. And that's going to present another issue. So that could be a hazard for you while you're trying to get to wherever you're trying to get to.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the road conditions there are. There, you will have deer out and you have more deer get hit this time of the year just because they are traveling much more frequently, especially if you're out around daybreak or around dusk. Those are high traffic times anyway for wildlife. Deer especially, and that's when the hunters go into the woods right before daylight, come out a little later in the morning, obviously, go in and then come out just after dusk or dark from that, and they spook the deer sometimes when they go in and out, or at least I always did back when I hunted and spooked them to the next county. But so the deer are traveling much more frequently at that periods of time, so closer to early morning, late evening, or late afternoon, be extra vigilant. And you don't have to just be in driving on county roads for that to occur. I mean, I've seen deer here in Murray. I've seen deer close to some of the restaurants before here in town. So you can have wildlife around, and so just be careful. Deer can do a lot of damage to the vehicle and can, the one thing you see how people do that, unfortunately as well, is when the deer runs out in front of them, and it's human nature, don't get me wrong, I'm not faulting anybody, but all of a sudden you just jerk your wheel and then you run off and you hit a tree or something of that nature, and the injury is much more serious than if you just hit the deer probably. But if you don't think it, you just react in that situation. So be careful if you see the deer ahead of time. You don't just react because you have more time to plan, and so keep an eye out for deer coming out on the roadways.
Yeah, and Jeff, I guess we'll probably wrap up this episode talking a little bit more about visibility. I know early on we talked about keeping the windshields clean, but it's also with your defrost and things like that. Just take the time, and if you're fogging up, sometimes you can crack that some of the windows just a little bit, and sometimes that does actually help. It just depends on what you're dealing with.
Correct, and that is when your windows are frosted up, let them clear up before you take off on the road.
Yeah.
Get them cleaned off before you take off. If you're in a garage, if you got a garage, that helps considerably from that standpoint. But if not, go out, scrape the windows, crank up the vehicle early, let it warm up a little bit, let the windows clear. And then you're getting into a warmer car.
Oh yeah,
as well. So that's a little bit nicer as well. But give yourself that little extra time to let the vehicle warm up. Give yourself a lot of extra time to get from point A to point B because you got to slow down considerably.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I enjoy coming down and talking to you about this, but, I drive down from Louisville, so it is one of those things where I'm on the road, and tips like this just serve as a reminder of, oh, yeah, I got to think about that. Oh, I need to slow down here, going over some of these bridges or up and down some of these hills, that we get into, but it's always a pleasure. Jeff, if somebody is unfortunately in an accident or a collision due to inclement weather and they need to speak to an attorney, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Best way to reach me is by phone, my office phone. I've got two offices. I've got the office here in Murray, which is my primary office. I have an office in Hopkinsville as well. But I just have the one phone number to reach me. It's 270-753-0053. You can call that office, and then they can set you up or get some information. We can get an appointment set up for you from that standpoint, or you can reach out to me through my website, jeffrobertslaw.com. It's another way to reach out to me from that standpoint, and then we will try to set up an appointment and talk to you about your specific situation in that regard. And, we try to accommodate as many folks as we can. As we've mentioned before on these podcasts, and if you go to my website, you'll see it on there. But we do have a motto that we try to live by here in my office, that we provide small town service and deliver big city results for our clients. And so we strive to do that in every case that we handle. If you have been involved in a car wreck of any type, whether it's from bad weather conditions or not, and you have questions, give me a call and we'll see what we can do for you. Again, 270-753-0053.
Outstanding, my friend. Well, hey, I appreciate it. And as we get closer to Thanksgiving and obviously Christmas coming up, wish you, happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your family. And I appreciate everything you do down here in Calloway County.
Thank you, and same back.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Jeff will return in 2 weeks. Until then, he invites you to visit jeffrobertslaw.com and follow his firm on Facebook. At the Roberts Law Office, you'll find a history of small town service and big city results.